What's up, team? Welcome to episode number 100 of The
100.
Huddle. 100.
He's been waiting. He's been waiting all day. Saying one hit it. He's been practicing in the bathroom. I heard him.
Well, you are here at your weekly playbook where we strategize not only on playing the game, but changing it. Sorry about that. We have a little technical difficulty, but we still know how to help you master your craft and distinguish yourself in the marketplace. We're here to give you the voice and ensure you're equipped with everything you need. Let's band together on this episode 100 to forge a new legacy in flooring. Welcome to the team. This is where you belong. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Another day in the life of
Well,
Jose. What's
for
going on, brother?
100th episode, I'm Paul Stewart, founder and CEO of Go Carrera. With me, as always, Mr. Daniel and Jose Gonzalez of Preferred Flooring up in Michigan, and host extraordinaire of the Huddle Flooring podcast.
We're all right.
You know, I'm pretty impressed that we've reached 100. We got a congrats from Tom. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Tom runs a podcast in the UK, so he knows how hard it can be to stay on a schedule and get to 100 episodes. So, dudes, thank you so much for being here this entire time. Thank you to all of our audience and people who watch the Huddle. We certainly appreciate you guys. You're why we do it. A lot of the topics, ideas, discussions come from you guys. So, all right. Well, today's episode is about moving from apprentice to expert. There are a lot of different avenues we can go down. So, you know, I'll get it out of the way. You know, we got to get educated, and it takes experience. And those are the two things we got to have to move, you know, from any level to the next level. So certainly it requires a lot of training, years of experience. But if you're at that point, there are some key metrics, I think, or key thought processes that you have to think about to go to expert. So let me get Mr. Daniel's take. What's your take on moving from apprentice to expert? Because it's not like one day you go in, you're an apprentice, and the next day you're an expert. So
No, absolutely not. It's the biggest thing is to, and I used to say this all the time, and I need to start saying it again. It's never stop learning, right? I think like when I was in school, it was always I always wanted to be done. You just want to put everything down and then just never have to learn again. But in reality, that's not the case. I wish it was, but it's not. Like if you're not learning something new every day, you're falling behind. And I guess it's not even something new. It's like being better than you were the day before because there's always something that you're lacking, right? So you can become better at what you're doing every single day. And I think that's the ticket. And I think it really, like for me, it actually started when I graduated high school, and it was one of my uncles. He in my graduation card, he wrote in there that he was proud of me and that I'm always the best at everything I do, and I really took that to heart. And then kind of tried to, well, a few years later, anyways, thinking about that, and then just trying. You know what? He's right. I am really good at what I do. Let me kind of focus all my energy into what I'm doing, so that way I can be the best. And I think that's what really motivated me into, doing the installer of the year. And honestly, I didn't really think I was that good. I thought I was just mediocre at best. But then, you know, people started to ask me where I learned the stuff from, and it's like that guy's sitting, in that desk right there, and we taught ourselves, and it's their minds are blown with the amount of information that we know just by teaching yourselves, and that's because of that mindset. You have to want to learn and better yourself.
Well, you say you taught yourself, and that's always an important part, but you also went and got taught and had an open mind on learning. And I we all have kids, so I've got three new ones in the house. I say new, hell, they've been there for about 2 years now, so it's not so new. But the 14-year-old, uh, he would love what I've tried to talk to him about is learning how to learn. Like when he gets down on
Oh,
school
yeah.
or whatever, I'm like, dude, school is teaching you how to learn more. I mean, a lot of this stuff you may not actually use until you get out in the world. Uh, but you got to learn how to learn. And that's part of what school can do for you. But what I was going to say is at 14, you know, he went out for track for the first time this year and wanted to be the king supreme on the team. Like first year going out, like everything he does, he wants to. It's one thing he wants to be the best, which I truly support and appreciate. But expecting to be the best without putting in the years of work that other kids have put in is a different story. And I see that same kind of thing in flooring in the trades in general. Like you come in and you're here for 6 months and you want to you were with an installer for 6 months and you want to be the looked at as the best. Not that you are striving to be the best, but you want to be considered the best. And you just don't know what you don't know yet. So one of the things that in my opinion that like makes it clear that you're no longer an apprentice is not that you quit learning. You like you said, Dan, you don't ever stop learning, but you are also then prepared to start teaching. And that's kind of where I seen as I got better and better, where I wasn't scared that someone's going to come take my job, or this fear that I'm training my replacement, all this stuff we've heard in the industry. That wasn't there. And that's when I think you become an expert, is when you've become so proficient at your craft. Not only can you teach, but you're willing to teach and you want to teach. um, that to me is the difference between like an expert and you know we'll call it a journeyman or an apprentice.
Yes,
How
sir.
about you, Jose?
It's just
I
one of
feel
those
like I'm gonna
things,
have to
man.
make get up and do some push-ups or something, get the energy up. Let's
Ah,
go.
oh, energy's there. Energy's there, bro. I just like listening to everybody else talk. Nobody wants to hear my dusty voice all the time. Come on now.
You
Um,
sound so you got a voice for radio, bro. Come on.
yeah, face for radio. Yes, all right. Um, it's hard to say, man, because like Daniel said, just his story and my story are very similar as far as when we decided that this was the career, and we're always going to remain apprentices, right? Like we're always learning something. Um, and like Daniel said, well, let me add to that Daniel was the first one in the household to graduate from high school, out of my parents, myself, and everything, and I'm the oldest. So I do want to add to that. So that's why that card means more than he thinks to him about my uncle being proud. Um, and as far as like when that transition was made, I don't even know if that transition has been made for me yet or not. Right? Like everybody tells me it is. Everybody tells me that we're good at what we do. But
Well, yeah, but
I never.
being good is one thing, dude. Like when we're talking about going from apprentice to expert, it's like
Mhm.
what is that or even to a full journeyman.
I
What
just
some of the best guys I know want to teach someone else what they know, and you guys are the epitome
I
of
want to
that.
teach, dude. I want to
You know what
teach.
I
Like
mean?
like
You're
I
the
want to teach
epitome of
everybody.
wanting to teach and wanting to help and get out on site and show somebody. Like I know you guys have went help people finish jobs, but you're also kind of showing them how to finish a job and how to get from where they're
Yeah,
at to a successfully completed project. That's where expert is. To me, it's the guys that are not scared to teach other people what they've learned because they are so confident in what they know and how they perform. You can
yeah.
teach one other thing, and I'll let you. Sorry for butting in, by the way,
Oh
because
no, I love it. It's what it's for. It's what it's about, brother.
but is once not only are you willing to teach, but you understand that there's still a lot after you've taught somebody to be considered an expert by your client.
Hmm.
And that's really what we ought to be thinking about is from a customer standpoint, what makes an expert, right? There's still a lot. You can show somebody how to properly groove or cut or weld or grout or any of the disciplines, but there's still a lot they have to do to be considered experts from the customer. They have to execute. There's a lot of execution in there. So, you know, carry on if that thought helps at all. But that's kind of my two
it,
cents.
no, any information helps, right? Like, so I wrote down. I keep looking over here because I'm writing down notes as we start talking, like I always do. Um, I think once I hit that, once I decided that I wanted to teach instead of keep going because I'm still learning, but that comfort level that puts you in the classification of expert, you're right. I am comfortable talking about a lot of things with the client. I am comfortable giving them answers. I'm comfortable educating them. I might not have all the scientific terminology down like Daniel does because that's what that dude likes to remember. But the being able to explain anything in a manner in which anyone can understand is my superpower, and that is through learning alongside of everyone and going through my trials and tribulations as an apprentice, as a journeyman, learning everything that I did to get to that label. The expert labels bestowed upon me. I never once started telling people I'm an expert. I just tell people, or have told anyone who's asked, that I'm my knowledge is pretty extensive in this category, but there's still
I
more to
like
learn.
what I like what you said. It's not a self-identifying thing. It's what other people identify you as an expert. Um, you know, you can claim it after other people have told you though. So
Yeah,
you
you
are
got
one of the more humble guys I know.
it. I'm trying to be man because I don't go out there and push that agenda about me onto anybody.
Well,
I
you're
just
just
let
humble
my
that way, man. Both you guys are, and that's just kind of how it works. Maybe that's a good sign because a lot of the real good guys that they're like, oh man, I'm pretty good. Except Pruitt, I think he'll tell you how good he is.
that's like that goes back to that old school Bruce Lee comment when they asked him if he was good. He said, um, "If I told you I was a good, I would be boasting. But if I told you I wasn't, I'd be lying."
Yeah,
So
I
Elena
like it.
says that her dad, set the standard for her at a young age, trained everyone that walked through the door, and never hesitated to show someone another way. And I think, oh, shit, we got another comment coming in right here. Also rewarding them for advancing their skills, even with something as
Mhm.
simple as not only troweling glue, but now they are trimming a wall or making a seam. And, it's not even just showing them another way. It's um, being an expert is looking at them and asking them, hey, maybe you know something I don't too, right? Because there's been
Yeah.
like who's the person that said that it was Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or something said that they like to hire lazy people because they'll find an easy way to do something. But
Well, yeah,
It was
once
hilarious.
you figure out the standards, finding those shortcuts and those tricks is probably a good sign, of an expert as well. I think what Elena said is proof, maybe for her dad being an expert is the fact is he wasn't scared to show any. We've had like plenty of talks on this podcast about how installers get this mindset that like if I start training somebody else, that I'm gonna all of a sudden train my someone to replace me. That like you call it, Daniel, scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Really, the experts, they're not scared because they know what they have to offer and they want to teach others. They want that knowledge to get sent on to other people. So for all you experts out there, train your guys, get them a good foundation, and on job site training, that's a tradesman's path. I mean, we all learn on the job, but at the same time, we have to get in and get reinforced with some certifications and some industry standard training as well. That's
Right.
what helps
Yeah.
us really like solidify that we're doing it the right way. And once you have that foundation, I think that's where I've learned. You'll learn tricks in those things, but you'll also learn how you're supposed to do it. And once you have a really good foundation, you can kind of start to find your way of doing things. I know you guys both have little tricks and stuff of
Oh
how
yeah.
you do something. I know a lot of tile guys have their tricks of how to do something, whether it's miter in a corner or making it, or even you see a ton of videos on striking, uh, silicone corners and things like this. Everybody has their little tricks, but the fact is, you've got to do it, get that foundation first. That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah, just a basic general understanding of what you're doing is the best foundation, and also adding to that foundation is the science behind it, right? Because the science behind everything will actually lead you in the right direction on what I would say, what shortcuts or what I don't want to say shortcuts, right? Like that's a bad word. I would say
Tricks,
techniques.
tricks.
What techniques or tricks that you can add to your toolbox and keep up your sleeve for specific materials, items, scenarios. I just talked about this with one of my buddies the other day who has purchased some wood flooring from us, and he's like, "I got glue everywhere. I wiped it on my boots. I wiped it on them." Like, dude, it's like Daniel was like that too. Daniel wiped it on his pants. I just started wiping the glue, like when I'm gluing, started wiping it when I where I know it was going to be covered on the back of another piece, on the wall where the base is going to go. I said I kept my pants clean, like I didn't have any glue on my pants after a
I can't
while.
say I
Um,
can't say I kept mine clean, but I started carrying a wet rag with
a
me.
wet rag, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Unfortunately,
just
he was
wet it
working with a
down every now and
urethane.
again. Yeah, I would just keep a wet rag, but to each their own. In the early days, I looked like the fronts of my pants were made of glue. So I mean,
They would stand
I
up.
would still look like that today, right
Yes,
now.
they would. Yes, yes. It becomes habit, right?
So we've identified that clean pants are not a sign of an expert.
Right.
Eh, depends on
Uh,
Daniel,
who.
come on, man.
you're an expert at keeping your pants clean, but that's about it.
Mhm.
um,
So I think that depends, right? Because looking at when we were watching like Chris Sessom at the installation competition and the way that he was like calm and collected, like some of these other guys were all like us, all dirty and stuff and wiping stuff all, everywhere, but not this guy. He's calm, collected, not sweating really, super clean and just going about his day, and that's him being an expert. Us, not so much. I'd be sweating all over, stuff everywhere. It's like there's different looks, and it's just whatever look you take, and it gets the job done, I think.
Amen. Well, I if you wanted a path, some of the great training companies out there, whether it's CFI, AFT, Install. If you're in the union, um, there's OP,
NAFCT.
NAFCT, OPACT. Like, there's all these different train. In fact, if anybody in the audience would love a list of the training entities out there where you can go to their websites, we're happy to send it to you. Or you can go to Go Careers website and go to training, and you can see all of the different organizations there. And although not all of them are on our website, we're happy to send you even the unions and the different places where you can get that training. But going through those entities, I tell you what, we've had guys go through. I had a couple. It's probably been over a month ago now. I had one of our guys that's he's been installing floors forever, but he went through a pattern correction course with Robert
cool.
Varden, and he came back like in awe, and he's been doing casino work and pattern carpet work for a long time. So getting to the trainings, you'll if you've watched the huddle, I'm always a proponent of that because those are places where you'll learn little tricks. You'll also start to build that foundation where you can teach other people. That's where I learned how to teach other people is going through different courses and such. And because you take note of how you were taught, what resonated with you in the course. Not all of us are great teachers by nature, and I wouldn't say that I am.
No.
I had to learn that.
I would say that I agree with that last statement. Like, it, I have to be in a. It's got to be a good day for me to be considered for me to consider myself a great teacher. There's a lot of outside sources that could dictate your patience, your the way you deliver what you're trying to say, and also making sure you have the time. Right?
Hmm.
It's hard to teach when you're in crunch time or always in crunch time. I will tell you that. But yeah, I like
Well, teaching is also something you have to learn too, right? So it's just one of those other things that you have to take the time out, and you can't just get out there and day one you're going to be the perfect person. It's just like learning the trade. It's learning how to teach.
Yeah,
unless your name
And
is
and that's
John
one of the
Steyer, that
John, yeah,
dude.
that's one
John
of the.
Steyer, the fluorinator, he's the only one that day one he was perfect.
Well, I you know in all the conventions and different times we've been around CFI, that's one of the things they have to train the trainer because they know that they have to teach others how to teach. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And Dave Garden says it all the time. It's important. It's one thing to be really really good at what you do, but being able to transfer that first off, being willing to transfer that, but then after being willing, having the skill set that it takes to teach other people. I mean, teachers go to school to teach kindergartners, right? And then
Yeah.
so they go to school to learn how to teach young children. You're trying to teach other adults. It's as important that you learn how to teach, and that's where you'll learn it is how you learn. And when I first got in the trade, I was taught not in a great way. It was not the best environment for learning. I hope that's changing in the industry, uh, because a lot of mechanics, as we called them, uh, were not the friendliest guys to work with, and hopefully as real experts will try, they want to pass on their knowledge. That's my view, and I believe that hopefully that's kind of changing. I see a tide going to back to education, back to a mix of education with your experience. And I know a lot of the CFI people get on here and tell you that's the key to success in any trade is learn it, apply, revise, learn, or apply, revise, and continuing that course throughout your whole career. That's why you guys are so good at different aspects of flooring and not just one aspect of flooring.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like understanding how a spec reads, and you start to understand, like you said, Jose, about the scientific side. Really, we're talking chemistry when you're starting to
Yeah.
talk about the acrylic adhesives and the latexes and the different types of adhesives on the market and how they apply to the flooring um, products that you're installing, whether it's an epoxy set or you know get into tile and your epoxy setting and grouting, or thin setting, thick setting. All this stuff has to do with chemistry, and I think that's an important part too, is learning that stuff. It's hard to teach somebody. You can teach them how to cut something right, but if they don't understand the the chemistry of why they're doing something that they're doing, whether it's in residential or commercial, uh, that's where you can have some issues.
Yeah.
We talk a lot in flooring about having to be concrete experts, chemists, environmental experts and flooring experts all in the same package. But there's a lot of truth to that, and that's that expert level is when you can know that not only I know how to install this product, but I know the environment it's supposed to be installed. I know the adhesives. I know the surface profile, the concrete that's necessary, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, and you know what? I do wanna add to that because what you just made me think of something too. It's not only knowing it, but right, but knowing where to find the information if you don't know it offhand. That can play a very important, very crucial role in that expert level or expert category. Is understanding who, what, when, where, and why. And if you don't know any of that, just this is the direction I need to go. Give me a little bit.
yep.
Yeah, Elena says that there are just as many professional skills needed as hand skills to be top tier installer, and that's true because you just have to be all encompassing, right? To be considered one of those top, and because
Yeah.
a lot of the
What do you
installers
consider a
are,
top tier?
I think a lot of the looking like big picture stuff, a lot of the installers are more independent. Our industry is ran more on independent installers than the bigger
Mhm.
companies. So when you look at it in terms of that, you need someone that's going to be running their own business. So they have to be personable. They have to be great with the customers, with the clients. They have to be good with the paperwork side. They have to be good with, being able to teach someone, because it's hard to do everything by yourself, especially when you're talking about like doing carpet. You don't want to be trying to carry up
Oh,
a 50-foot roll of carpet up 3 flights of steps by yourself, right? So it's just, little stuff like that. So there's so many important parts to being able to be one of those top guys. And then I think one thing that ends up happening is people start looking at it, and it's like they look at you, and I mean, we've been doing this for 20 some odd years already, and it's like, I want what
98.
you have right now, but at the same time, I don't want to do all the work that you put into it. And that's where I think we need to start building something out to where it's like, where do I get from this point where I'm at now to where you're at? And I think that's kind of what this episode kind of entails, right? It's like, how do we all come to an agreement? Because I've had conversations with people and no one seems to agree to where we start, where what the next step is, and then where are we going with it? And then without any agreement, like, what's going to happen? Does someone like us just put something together and then just push it out there?
Yeah, and there's just a lot of variables to factor in that too, right? Like individuals have to understand that they'll have limitations set and by themselves, not only by themselves as in this is all I want to do, but there are those limitations that this is really all I can do, and understanding and recognizing uh, your limitations and boundaries that are set forth is very important in the progress of from um, apprentice to expert, right? Your expert might only entail one or two things versus several things. So like it's
Well,
just
you
it
kind
kind of
of you kind of broached the, from a skill set standpoint into the fact that our industry is so heavily represented by subcontract, independent,
mhm.
the independent installer in general, whether you're getting your work from, excuse me, getting your work from the market or you're getting your work from shops, your own company. And like you said, Daniel, now you got to learn some of these other skill sets to be professional. You can still be an expert, but that we've talked about this plenty of times. You need to decide whether or not your expert level installation skills should be a should be if you're say you're an employee, if you should go over to that other side because there's so much more that you got to deal with. But
Well,
to
well,
go back to Dan,
honestly, like, I think we just have to start looking at it as a long-term thing, right? It doesn't matter if you want to if you feel like you want to go to the other side. You got to start looking at everything as you only have so many miles on your knees. Once you hit that last mile, what are you going to do after that? And we're kind of going through that right now, because you'd be proud of that guy right there. Jose put a spreadsheet together for the guys to go through, and we're keeping track of stuff on every project. And just like with everything new, there's going to be some pushback with everything. And we have what I call the Monday meeting, but today's Tuesday since yesterday was a holiday. And we had the meeting this morning, and he's like, "Yeah, man, like this is," one of the guys was like, "This is just really like I'm having a hard time with it because I'm used to just showing up, doing my job, and going home." And I said, "Yeah, but what you need to realize is that we have someone here that used to work at a factory, and even in a factory, he was doing this exact same thing. So it doesn't matter where you're kind of like going. This is something that you're not going to get away from. And if you're going to keep on pushing back, you're just going to keep on holding yourself back."
Yeah. So tell me about the spreadsheet. What's the purpose of it?
Well, at first I had to get my sheet together to learn how to do it. That's I just want to open with that, but Daniel can explain the purpose now.
So the purpose of the spreadsheet is just to keep track of the project on a daily and a weekly basis, so that way we can see where we're falling short, like where
Like
time is
what's next?
where time is lost, what is our average, what's the average that people are putting in and stuff like that, so that way we can better do job costing and stuff like that.
It also gives us a little bit of a metric as to where we're failing as leaders to educate and to train. Right. That's also what it does, because if we're consistently showing that one person is um, not completing X amount of square feet in the time frame that everybody else is, or they're you can just tell what's a burden a burden of a task on someone's shoulders, right? So we're trying to alleviate some of that and understand where we're falling short and what can we do to be better. So that
Just
way,
trying to identify areas for where
yeah,
there's room for improvement.
right, all the way around. That's not just one
Yeah.
person. It
Yeah.
is it is a wide open window on what people are doing, right? Because it's a sheet that everyone can view and they can edit their own stuff. But it's also a wide open view on where production is being made, where production is being lost, and where we can be better. And it also tracks
Mhm.
all the information that we need for billing and surprises at the end. Because that's
Well,
something
that's you
that
guys
we just
becoming
didn't have.
experts in business, right? I mean, you're just going from one thing to the next, and that's kind of what you were talking about, Daniel, is like
Yeah, and
when you do decide to go over, you're always trying to find room for improvement. And maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
one of those identifying factors of an expert is someone who's constantly looking for how can I be better at what I'm doing, whatever that is. You guys
Mm-hmm.
are, you know, known as installer expert installation professionals, but you're also running a full business that employs other installers. And so you're trying to find ways to improve that whole experience for your customer and your employees, right?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. There's definitely a
Yeah.
lot. That's just tip of the
Well,
iceberg there too.
yeah, I mean, we've had episodes on running a successful sub company and start kicking your business from a, you know, launching a business and all that. But it's all about being willing to learn and having an open mindset and really being a problem solver, thinking about those areas where we're falling short and what kind of systematic approach can we take to improving those. And that's where your spreadsheet comes in. I mean, you know, that's a lot of the reason why the metrics that are tracked on Go Carrera is professionalism, attitude, punctuality, dependability, and exceptional quality. One of those have to do with your craft. The others have to do with the way you approach your craft, and that's another thing. I'm telling you what, if you can knock those five metrics out of the park, whether you're working for a shop or you're working for a direct with a client, a customer, those are the things that everybody looks for. We've been blessed this last month on Go Career to have an enormous amount of work orders going out on the network, and guys getting kudos for these metrics, and you're starting to really see where guys are standing out and approaching the business a little bit differently. It's one of those great equalizers right now in the industry. Is most of the like we have had such good luck, knock on wood, with getting our work orders filled. Not for my company, even we're talking. We have 16 other clients on Go Career, but what I'm getting at here is that most really most of your handyman kind of installers that do not necessarily do the best work, they won't even get on that platform. So the very first thing that I've noticed is being willing to like put yourself out there. Here's what I know. Uh, and I want to improve, and getting your hammer rating and those kinds of things, those are steps kind of in that same direction. They can be applied through anything. Go Career is just an example of it. But if you did, whether it's in business, like you guys are doing a spreadsheet to help improve yourself, that means you have to track what you're doing now and discover where you may not be doing the best so that you can improve. And expert, like I think of really good installers, they want to know. I want to know if my employees think I'm a good boss, and so I encourage them to tell me, if they feel like I'm falling down somewhere, to just display that, come and talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Let's get better together. And you guys have that same attitude, and customers love it. At the end of the day, it all ends up showing in the products that we put down.
Got to put a little bit of that love
Right.
into it. That's for sure.
And you talk
Yeah.
about giving kudos. I do just want to bring up. I want to give kudos to Dan and Denise from D&D Flooring. I don't know if you guys even have seen, but Denise has been going through a bunch of stuff with surgeries and whatnot. So they've fallen on some hard times. So I just want to give them, the support that they need right now. They do a lot for the industry as well. So if anyone has anything that they can do, scan this right here, go to the GoFundMe and give what you can. I mean, even, $5, can go a long way with what they got going on right now. So we appreciate everything that Dan and Denise do, and I'm supporting them today. Dan was one of our certifiers over when we did the NFIC, and he argued with me for a long time about doing it, but I'm sure we'll see him at one of these sheet vinyl certifications at some point, even though he said he's not going to do it. But that's the
Yeah,
beauty
let's
of
leave that up for a little bit, guys. Let's support Dan and Denise,
that's
and
the beauty of
help out our fellow flooring
Yeah.
folks. It is one of the let's show them that uh, what the flooring industry is all about. I've seen it in CFI. I've seen it, sharing, like bulking money together to help other people. I know there's other funds out there in our industry, and you know, you guys should scan this and let's help them out.
absolutely. They're great people, so we're definitely gonna be donating to them, and we hope you guys all do too. And just like I said, any little thing helps, and they're great people. They support the industry, so let's start supporting the people that support the industry as well.
Amen. Certainly an expert in my mind, Dan.
I was invited.
So, what's your guys's, as we're going through this, discussion? You, like I said at the very beginning, we could take it down multiple paths, but if you guys are anybody in the audience that's newer to the industry, something you guys said earlier brought kind of struck a chord with me. One thing I mentioned about my son wanting to be like the king supreme the day he walks on the job. Take this seriously. If you really want to be a professional, you got to take it seriously, and that's putting in the work to get better. And setting yourself up for success is it's not going to happen if you are wanting, like you said, Daniel. people wanting what you have at 20 years in the industry in 6
Right.
months.
I
It's,
mean, you
be
look at
patient.
it. Look, so my son and I, for his birthday, went and seen Greta Van Fleet. Right, I was wearing the concert shirt last week on the show, and then they're from Michigan, and if you just look at it in terms of just a band, right, you can kind of relate anything to different things, right? So you relate being in a band and you're playing shows for just your family, and then you get a little bit better and then you start playing shows at bars, and then you get a little bit better and then you start playing shows at these small concert venues, and then now you look at them and I mean, I seen them in Vegas and they played T-Mobile Arena, and then they're over here and they're playing Van Andel Arena, and it's like they went from one of those opening acts to being that headliner, and you can't be that headliner without putting in that time. You got to start somewhere, and you can't just be that person that just goes from 0 to 100 like that, and being under someone's wing that can show you how to do things is
Well, that's what an
probably
opening
one of the main ways to go.
yeah, opening acts like learn from the main show.
And that's the benefits of taking your lumps along the way instead of just getting pushed all the way up there, right? You take your lumps, you're building long term success, right? You're looking at the long game. If you're skipping and jumping and you're already at the finish line when it took people years, I can almost assure you that that long game isn't going to be very long. And some people it might work out like that. I'm not
Well, do
saying
you want to
it's
be do you
impossible.
want to be called do you want to be known as the best, or you want to call yourself the best, or great or good or whatever?
Well,
Like
we've also
it's when
seen
other
that
people
too,
do
right?
it that it's when
We've
other
seen
people
that
do it that it
too,
becomes special.
especially at the installation competitions, because I mean, if you're in there, I mean, you're probably one of the better installers in the nation. So yeah, kudos to you already. But when it comes down to it, and there are guys in there that are judging your every single move, and you're still not making the cut, and then instead of being like, all right, I could have done better, you get angry and then start
Mhm.
resenting people. That's when you kind of got to take a look at yourself, and these people unfortunately never will, but that's their
Some
prerogative.
won't. Yeah, some
Yeah,
some will
but
learn.
but
Some
yeah,
some won't.
but there is those people, right, where it's like they're going to be the best, they know they're the best, they'll always be the best regardless of any what happens.
Regardless of the evidence.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I talk to them, face to face. It's like, man, why you didn't win, these reasons right here, and I wasn't even a judge and I can tell you what you were doing wrong. And they thought that doing things the hard way was going to be like showing the judges that, all right, I'm doing it the hard way, so I should get more points. No, man, that's where you got to realize is that you got to work smarter, not harder, because getting it done efficiently and the right way is way better than doing it the hard way and it still being wrong.
Well, and that's where you really make hay in this business is once you know how to do it, finding those efficiencies and getting better, getting quicker. We always said quality before speed, and if you
Mhm.
can get that quality first and then find the tricks to get faster, that's where you're going to make really good money in the business. And
Right. And
and
that's
it,
why we're constantly reinvesting, and we have an issue with buying new tools, right? Because you have to buy the new tools. They're always it's like always the next best thing, and it's like, let me see if it really is. Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. But
right.
you know what? When it is, it really is, and it does save you some time. So,
Yeah, at the end of the day, a hammer is just a hammer to anyone, but there's different reasons and or there's different hammers for different purposes, and knowing and understanding even a tool's limitations and then what you could benefit from upgrading or buying a different version of the same tool. There's a lot to be said of someone who is willing to understand that, a hammer is just a hammer until it doesn't work for what you need it for. Um, and I want to add to the question you or whatever you said to Daniel about being the best. I'm not gonna lie, dude. When we started preferred flooring, I straight up told Daniel, my goal is to be the best installation outfit out there. Like I wasn't lying. I was a little upset. I was probably a little chip on my shoulder when I got let go uh, because I knew that I was good at what I did. I never said I was the best. I knew that I was better than what they had. But I didn't say I was the best. I just said I yield the best outcome, and I know the majority of what we're doing here, and I know what I'm generating for you
Yeah, but
guys, right?
it's different to have a goal of being the best and saying I'm the best, self-proclaiming to be the best without the evidence.
Right.
Hey, have the evidence. You know, if you feel like you're the best, there's plenty of ways to display that. First off, it's like the success of your installation business. If you're an installation business, if you're the best, and we're talking, once you're this is why these conversations can get hard to even have sometimes because
Yeah.
are we because right you are you the best at the individual skill set maybe and that might be able to um, uh, display itself very well if you're an employee installer. You start going to out into the independent world, well, you got to be the best at other things. To be the best installation outfit, as you said, it takes a dedication to learning new skill sets, the humbleness to say, I'm not doing things as efficiently as possible,
Yeah.
and the courage to get out there and talk to other people about how to get better. One of the things a lot of flooring companies get to do, which installers can do as well by getting involved in the different trade shows and the different conventions that are out there. But you know, being part of an association, whether it's the FCICA or Fuse or StarNet or any of these, or Commercial One, I think is another one. The Commercial USA, you get to get around other flooring companies and share best practices. The people who are like some of the guys that I admire in Fuse, because Stewart and Associates is a Fuse member, are the guys who um, are willing to just tell you straight up what they do that's made them successful. Like you can literally just copy them, and they don't care. You're in a different region. They don't have a lot, the competition is just, there's always a little bit of that. But at the end of the day, the really good ones are like, we know there's a lot to the execution side of this. So we'll share our knowledge, but it's up to you to execute.
Right.
And that's a lot of whether you're doing the hand skills training or the professional skills training and learning that how to become a professional. This episode is really about expert versus or not versus but going from apprentice to expert. But the my my daughter just sent me a deal. My saying is at the end of the day, so
At the
at the end of
beginning
the
of each
day,
day,
I might change it to the beginning of the day.
at the
Uh,
beginning of the
At the
next
start
day.
of
I'll
the
tell you
day.
what, donate $1 to Dan and Denise for every time I said at the end of the day, and they'll probably fund that whole issue they got going on,
Well, at least we
we
know
certainly hope you guys will.
Ashlyn's paying attention.
Yeah, but
True. True that.
one of the things I think about it when I try to get better at something is who can help me get there. And that takes humility. And I got to swallow some lumps in my, throat sometimes and be humble enough to go ask somebody for help or ask somebody for advice or go to that seminar at the Fuse conference instead of going hanging out with people. All these conferences, you can go to the seminars, you can learn the stuff, or you can go hang out in the hall or go down and grab a beer with the guys at the bar. Um, going to the seminars, learning, applying yourself, and actually trying to get better. Um, there are some companies, one of them, Garmin, comes to mind at Infuse that Scott just he's an expert at every level in my mind. I look at him and I know he does things right, and we try to kind of pick his brain when we're at the conference. So those things are the same set of skills, or I don't even know if it's skill, the same kind of pathway to becoming a really good installer if you're just getting started. If you are in the audience and you're just getting started, again, we at the huddle really push for you to go get the industry training. It's the way that you're showing your dedication, and when you mix that education with your experience, that's where you get, you know, you can. I agree,
Kevin.
Kevin. You can learn some
I've
stuff at the bar,
I've
but
I've had well, Kevin was drinking beers. I was not drinking beers, but I learned some stuff from him too. So
yeah,
that is
well, you
correct.
can, but those bar trips are usually after, maybe not always, but a lot of the times I've got to sit and chat and learn has been right at the end of the day or at the end of the the conference.
Right on, Justin.
I feel
Right.
like an expert is never achievable in the real world. We should always be learning till the day we hang up the pads. Respect to everyone who's made a career of this. I agree, you never stop learning, but expert doesn't mean that you can't learn anymore. You know what I mean? Like, expert
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you can't get better. Yeah, so did someone say beer?
No. Yeah, I think that like overall, like this is all great conversation, but I still think the fact of the matter is that without anything set in stone and without someone pushing it out there, like looking at what the union is doing and putting it in terms of, all right, you're starting here, you have to do this in order to move here, in order to move to that next level, this is what you have to do, without someone actually putting something out like that. And we've been working on something like that. It's just hard with
Well,
how
we
small
we've
we are, like doing
we've used a
everything.
hammer rating for that. It's just we don't know where to say expert at
Well,
for the
yeah,
0 to 5.
and the I mean, we talked to you guys about it too, especially when we first started talking, and that was the thing. And I brought it up to you, like we were working on this. You guys invited us over, and you're like, how many levels are in there? And we start counting, and you're like, how many hammers are in the hammer rating? And
Mhm.
everything kind of lined up together. So yeah, I mean, it does it. Everything lines up. It's just a matter of someone taking initiative and saying, all right, in order to get from here to here, this is what you need to do. And titles aside, man, it's just you need to be able to see where you need to go in the industry. Like, in order to move here, this is what I have to do. And then um looking at it from a different perspective too, it's like baby sister was in here a couple weeks ago, and she was asking questions, and I said, what you need to understand is we're set up, we're one company, but we're kind of set up as two, because we're doing the labor and we're doing the sales. So it's like we're two companies in one. And she was like, wow, I never really looked at it that way either. So it's like,
Yeah, your sales and service, and that's where you're a full service flooring
right.
company. Um, if you're selling your labor, awesome. Be an expert at it. We're nearing the end of our podcast. What I want to thank everybody. This is our 100th episode. Uh, I
100.
100.
Honey, I want to thank the audience for coming in live each week. Sometimes we have 4 or 5 people. Sometimes we have 25 people. We get a lot of interaction on our socials and on our YouTube channels and such. So please, if you like it, the huddle, you want to support us, go give us a like, subscribe. Um, you know, Communicate with us, leave comments, and also every time we put down, we love topics. We love the topics that come from the audience because it really tells us what you guys want to have us dig into. We come up here and we ab lib a lot, but there's research that goes on topics that we don't know about. So if you like us, give us some love. Best of luck, Kevin.
Kevin's going to Atlanta to do his NFIC Masters next week.
Yeah, and look, Kevin doesn't install on a daily basis.
Still
you know what
learning.
I'm saying, right?
Don't let him lie to you. He goes home. He goes home and practices in the garage. Don't let him trick you.
All right, fellas. Well, we're nearing the end. You guys got anything close us out with?
Yeah. If you're on that path or want to put yourself on that path from apprentice to expert, make sure that you are doing your best to be the best for you, right? Because if you're doing it for someone else, you're going to lose interest. But if you're doing it for you, for your career, for your family, whatever drives you, do it for you, because eventually someone will take notice, and that label of expert will get bestowed upon you as a gift and not a label that is self-made. Yeah, self-proclaimed. Yeah, I would say that. And I think I wrote down something right here too. Is like my interpretation of expert is where knowledge, experience, execution, and education all come at a crossroads. That's where you get that label from.
Nice.
Well, like you said, that everyone, like, that label of expert kind of gets bestowed onto you, right? And that's kind of what has happened to us, especially in the resilient world. And we definitely appreciate that, but we're still learning something every day.
Amen.
And this is what, like Kevin says right here, never be afraid to reach out for direction. And I think that's what sets you apart, is taking what you don't know, realizing what you don't know, being humble, and then asking for that direction.
Yep. Consummate learning, for sure. Yep. And you'll take those next steps. Whether you're going to be just the best employee ever and be the best installer at your company, or you're going to go out and strike your own path and open a labor shop, or you're going to go sales and installation. Whatever path you decide, you're going to have to put on your learner hat and be willing to ask for help. So, all right, guys. Well, congrats. 100 times we've been on this podcast, almost every time together. And I want to thank you guys for always being here and carrying the torch and always bringing knowledge, always being engaged. It's been awesome. And we're going to continue to do this thing. Again, if you guys, want to support us, hammer that like and subscribe, and comment on our socials. Let us know what you're thinking of, and let us know what to talk about a little bit. We got our can I start over? I just got a well, yeah,
you can replay it as soon as
you
we're
can
done,
always
Rollin.
watch it. You can always watch it, Rollin. So yeah, thanks to everybody. 100 shows is quite the feat, and I appreciate everybody involved, including all the people in the background that make this possible. So thanks to Ashlyn. Yeah. She's our silent assassin in the background. And we certainly appreciate all her efforts and putting this together.
If you guys didn't know, Ashlyn
in
basically does everything. We just show up and then start talking.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We will see you guys next week. And from there,
see ya. Thanks, everyone.